Well. I never thought I would ever be making a WWE video, nor did I ever believe I would ever be as interested in the WWE as I was when I was younger. The Bloodline storyline has taken the WWE by storm for the past 4 years now, and just like me, many others are tuning in to eventually see the climax of this well-written story. This storyline has many moving parts as many different superstars from the modern era and previous eras are all intertwined, but at the center of it all, we have the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. However, he was not always the tribal chief. In fact, he was arguably the most hated WWE superstar, as many of you probably know. In this video, I'm going to be examining the character of Roman Reigns and how fiction eventually collided with reality in order for us to get the tribal chief. Before we get started, I want to make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe for more video essays and character analysis videos. I also want you guys to leave a comment below on what other series or characters you want me to look at next. It could be from the WWE or from any other series such as JJK. Don't worry guys, the Mahito analysis is still coming. Other than that, let's get straight into the video. Before we start looking at the tribal chief, we need to go all the way back to the Shield and the Big Dog era. As most of you probably know, Roman Reigns first debuted as part of the trio known as the Shield, which consisted of Seth Rollins, who was the chaotic architect of the team, and Dean Ambrose as the leader and mouthpiece of the group. This happened during 2012's Survivor Series, which, even saying that, makes me feel old, when they attacked Ryback in order to help CM Punk retain the WWE Championship. Once the Shield were introduced, they were treated as a force to be reckoned with in the WWE, with their special audience entrance, their undefeated streak, and even their tag team title reigns. During this period, Roman was a strong silent type. He won a match against CM Punk, Mark Henry, and famously broke Kane's single Royal Rumble elimination record at the time while being the runner-up to Batista within that same Rumble. It was clear that WWE saw Reigns as a top star in the future, but that became obviously apparent once the Shield eventually disbanded, with Seth Rollins betraying the group and joining the Authority, which was the modern take of the corporation stable with Triple H at the helm. Skipping over a bit of time, the 2015 Royal Rumble starts, and many fans are expecting a crowd pleaser ending as the last Royal Rumble was underwhelming, as no one at the time wanted to see Batista main event WrestleMania. Now that's not my own opinion of Batista, as I actually very much like him as a wrestler because I grew up watching him, but at the time, the audience was very hungry to see someone who they believed deserved the push win the Rumble. That someone was not Roman Reigns. During the match, people were ecstatic once Daniel Bryan, who was the top babyface at the time, entered the Rumble as they believed that this was his moment. However, he only ended up lasting 10 minutes, and to add insult to injury, right after Shattered Dreams started playing, which, knowing Vince McMahon, was probably intentional. After this, Roman Reigns entered the Rumble 5 minutes afterwards, and the entire mood of the Rumble switched to being very hostile. The reason being was due to the audience knowing that Roman was going to walk out as the Rumble winner, and this led to one of, if not the most disastrous Royal Rumble endings, as the entire crowd was booing the hand-selected babyface. It got so bad that The Rock had to come into the ring and raise his hand as the Rumble winner, but even that could not save Roman from the intense hostility. It's actually really funny to re-watch, as The Rock literally looks super confused as to why the crowd are still booing even with him in the ring, acknowledging Roman as the tribal... Okay, let me slow down, we're not there yet. WWE did their best to mute the boos out of the rewatch, but they must have been so loud that it became impossible to mask through editing. This event caused a domino effect, which eventually led to the heist of the century at WrestleMania 31 in Roman's WWE title match against Brock Lesnar. Apparently during the show, the majority of the people within WWE, which includes certain figureheads, did not know who was going to go over during the match. This was likely influenced due to the crowd's intense hatred towards Roman, so the top brass within the WWE at the time lost some faith with him becoming the next champion. The decision was then made last minute for Seth Rollins to cash in his Money in the Bank mid-match, which was the first time in history that has ever been done, and win the match, stealing the title from Brock and Roman. This rough start for Roman Reigns as a heavily pushed singles competitor was actually vital for the Tribal Chief persona, as it almost blends in fiction with reality, but I'll get more into that when we start looking more in depth into the Tribal Chief. After the heist of the century, Roman was given multiple storyline angles to try and get him over with the crowd. He eventually won the WWE Championship, but ended up in a feud against the Authority, which mirrored Stone Cold versus the Corporation. This led to him losing the title and eventually regaining it after defeating Triple H at WrestleMania 32 for the title. He then proceeded to get a mini reset as the WWE likely felt that he should have a more natural rise to the main event, so he had a US title run. Then in the following WrestleMania, he became the second person to defeat The Undertaker at the event. After that, he proceeded to have an Intercontinental title run, and finally Roman won the Universal title in 2018 after a feud with Brock Lesnar, ending Brock's 504-day reign with the title. It's important to note that even after all of this, the WWE audience still hated Roman, and it was common to hear boos whenever he did anything in the ring. The problem with the big dog is that the WWE did not naturally let Roman get over with the crowd and forced him into a franchise role similar to the likes of John Cena and Stone Cold. It was clear he did not have the same type of charisma as those two, as he regularly got clowned for his promos, even from John Cena.
And second of all,
it's called a promo,
shut
kid,
your
and
mouth,
if you want
John.
to be the big dog, you're going to have to learn how to do it, so go ahead. I blame you. I'm still here because you can't do your job.
Moreover, he did not have his own identity as Roman continued to use his Shield getup and entrance, whereas Seth and Dean had moved on and evolved their characters. Looking back at it, admittedly, I stopped watching WWE just as the Shield was rising as a kid, but whenever I was exposed to Roman Reigns through friends or social media clips, I had no indication as to what his character was meant to be. The greats, such as John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, Randy Orton, etc., you can get a gauge of who they are, but Roman just seemed very shallow. However, that all changed on October 22nd, 2018 on Raw, when Roman came out to address the WWE Universe, which was initially met with boos. He revealed his actual name, which is Joe Anoa'i, and he also revealed that he had been battling leukemia throughout his life, and it had recently came back. This meant that he would need to relinquish the Universal title and take a hiatus of wrestling until he was healthy enough to perform again. During this speech, those boos that were frequent slowly turned into silence and cheers of thanks, as for the first time, the WWE Universe were able to see Joe for who he truly is, rather than the made-up gimmick that the WWE writers gave him. After his hiatus, Roman would return briefly to the main roster, but with the pandemic concerns, he pulled out of WrestleMania 36 and went on another short hiatus. During 2020 SummerSlam, Roman returned to the WWE and he attacked The Fiend Bray Wyatt, who was the Universal Champion at the time. However, during this return, he acted very differently to his usual MO, by being a lot more aggressive and disrespectful by telling The Fiend that he can't handle the responsibility of holding the championship. We also see for the first time a change in his ring gear, as he was wearing a t-shirt that said "Wreck everyone and leave," which also ties into his newfound aggression. On the next episode of SmackDown, we then see the start of Roman's alignment with Paul Heyman, which gives clear red flags as to the change in Roman's character, which is later confirmed when Roman wins back the Universal Championship and ends up starting a feud with Jey Uso by attacking him unprovoked. He tells an unconscious Jey Uso that he feeds their whole family with the Universal Championship and he'll never take his place at the head of the table. For those who did not know before, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and many Samoans within the WWE, past and present, are all somewhat related to each other, and for the first time in Roman's career, this real life fact is being highlighted into the fictional WWE. This leads to very brutal and personal matches against Jay, where Roman wrecks Jay, and brings his whole family into the fiction by constantly reminding Jay that their family is watching him get absolutely destroyed. The first match ends with Jimmy Uso running to the ring and throwing in the towel for Jay, and the second match ends with Jay saying "I quit" to save Jimmy from Roman's guillotine after he seemingly tricks Jimmy, but that's a bit up in the air. You see, Roman Reigns during this match breaks down in front of Jimmy and states that he doesn't know who he is anymore, while holding his head, which could either be Roman's manipulation or him genuinely being conflicted as he now believes that he needs the Universal title at any cost, but he actually does love his family. In my opinion, I think it's a bit of both, as Roman's manipulation could be his form of protection for his family, because the reason why he does not want them to hold the Universal title is because he does not think that they can handle the burden, which is the WWE Universe. Roman's character is absolutely traumatized by us, the fans, because of the past couple of years. We've been booing him for doing his job, so he sees the Universal Championship almost like a curse, which he needs to keep since it feeds his family. However, it can also be seen as a pure manipulative power trip, as Roman wants to be acknowledged as the head of the table, which again probably came about due to us not giving his acknowledgement as the big dog. After his second title match, Jay acknowledges Roman as the tribal chief, and after some manipulation, abuse, and title retentions, this leads to Roman's WrestleMania triple threat match for the Universal title against Edge and Daniel Bryan, where he defeats and pins both of them with some help from Jay. This moment is where the big dog truly becomes the head of the table and tribal chief, which was followed by his music change and the addition of Jimmy Uso to the group. Jimmy initially disagrees with the way Roman operates, which led to a slight rift between the three, but Roman again manipulates the Usos with the promises of glory through the tag team championships, which begins the reign of the Bloodline. Now, I could go more in depth into everything that happens in the Bloodline, but that's not the point of this video. Roman's character from here on stays pretty consistent, as he is focused on winning at all costs and being acknowledged as the tribal chief by his family and the fans. With the Usos, Roman does manipulate them, but he technically did give them what he promised, as they eventually go on to unify the tag team championships, and the entire Bloodline ends up holding most of the gold within WWE, as Roman defeated Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 38 to unify the Universal title and the WWE title, basically becoming the Thanos of WWE. Or Sukuna, depending on which one you prefer to relate him to. Interestingly, Brock seems to be the only guy that worries Roman, as he only ever seems cautious around him, and even forces Paul Heyman to choose him over Brock as his manager. Additionally, the introduction of Solo Sikoa into the story tells us a lot about how Reigns views loyalty, as he would rather have him as next in line to be the tribal chief rather than the Usos. Sami Zayn's introduction and later trial further backs this up, as he would rather Sami beg for forgiveness and swear loyalty rather than take his actions for the Bloodline as proof of character. Coming up to WrestleMania 40, Roman is currently sitting on a fallen kingdom, as his bloodline is split apart and he has multiple potential contenders attempting to overthrow him as the tribal chief. Cody is the obvious one, as he is currently trying to get his run back against Roman at WrestleMania 40. The Rock is currently aligned with Roman, but there are potential subtle signs that he actually wants to be the head of the table, and Jay wants to be the tribal chief, but he needs to go through his brother first. With so many enemies and shaky alliances, it's hard to say how long Reigns will stay at the top, but it's seeming like his actions are catching up to him and his Roman Empire is in its final stages. Roman Reigns is a particularly complicated character for WWE standards, as most superstars do not have the unique relationship with the audience that Roman does. As a babyface, he was the most hated superstar on the roster, but as soon as he turned heel and ran the Bloodline, he is now by far the most popular superstar on the roster. I think this shows that long-term storytelling, dynamic characters, and natural crowd connection are the way forward for WWE stories. In my opinion, I genuinely think Roman works better as a manipulative tyrant heel rather than the strong babyface because of these various factors, and going forward, WWE should look to give their superstars more authenticity, as that is what allowed Roman to rise up and become the true final boss of WWE. Okay, so that's the end of the video, so this part is entirely not scripted. For any of you who've made it this far, thank you guys very much for watching. You know, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe because that'll very much help the channel out. I want to hear what you guys have to say about, you know, Roman Reigns, the WWE right now, Cody Rhodes, maybe even past WWE superstars. I also want you guys to tell me what other videos and characters that you guys want to see next, because I'm willing to explore different series. I can go back to anime, you know, movies. You know what I'm saying? I'm open to many suggestions. The next video, I'm going to do a Mahito analysis, and that's because I promised that during my first video essay. So that's the next one that's going to be coming up. I'm just trying to think, is there anything else? I don't think so. So yeah, honestly, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.